Hi, I'm Simon and welcome to the second episode of Gamer's Living Room. And as this is the second episode, I'm going to be showing you my second gaming system and one of my favourite games from it. In fact, this is quite possibly one of my favourite games of all time. So I'm really excited to show it to you and I hope you enjoy it. And here it is. The Sega Master System. In fact, this isn't my original Master System. I unfortunately sold mine around the beginning of the 90s because I wanted to upgrade to the next generation of console. Now, it's not that I didn't love my Master System, I did. I was just too eager to get the next generation console, and so the only way I could do it was to sell the Master System and its 20 or so games I'd managed to acquire while owning it. Now, the Master System was originally released in North America in June of 1986, but didn't hit British soil until September of 87. Actually, it's based on a Japanese-only console called the Mark III. Sega released a console back in 83 called the SG-1000. Then they brought out a Mark II and a Mark III. And the Mark III is what this is directly descended from. Externally, they look very different. Internally, they're more or less the same, but with a better sound processor in the Mark III, giving it better sound than the Master System. The Mark III was released in Japan in 1985 in October. So here in Britain, we didn't get the Master System until nearly 2 full years after that. It was my first choice for a games console for a few reasons, one of which was its graphical capabilities. As you'll know from watching the first episode, I owned an Acorn Electron, which, although it could produce very good graphics for its limited power, it didn't quite match up to the later computers and video games machines. I wanted this over its rival, the Nintendo Entertainment System, primarily because of the graphics. I'd always found that the Nintendo's graphics seemed kind of washed out and colourless in comparison to the bright sprites that were displayed by this Master System. Another factor that played into it was also the aesthetics of the machine. I really didn't like the design of the original Nintendo Entertainment System. Its white and grey boxy exterior really didn't do much for me, and it was the Sega's futuristic design that really captured my imagination. I felt for some reason I was getting a part of the future, whereas Nintendo strangely seemed like the past. Now, I picked up this particular unit around about the turn of the millennium. I was in desperate need of a retro-fueled gaming fix, and I wanted to play my favourite Master System titles again. Luckily, one of my local computer shops had this unit in the window, and it was reasonably priced. I would have preferred to have got a Mark I, but it was all that was available, and as it was an impulse buy, I took it. Unfortunately, I don't really like the Master System 2. The soft curves give it a somewhat muted and emasculated appearance in comparison to the hard and angular exterior of the original Master System. Also, this plastic door on the front of it where the cartridge goes is, well, in my opinion, quite useless. Sure, it keeps dust out of the cartridge slot, but why they couldn't have designed it to close over the top of the cartridge? It would have actually made it look a lot nicer. What's more, they took something away. They removed the card slot. Now, this is a problem for 2 reasons. One of which is you couldn't play the games that were card-based. Alright, this is not too much of a problem. Firstly, because most of them weren't very good. And secondly, because they were all re-released later on cartridge. So you could play them on this system if you really wanted to. The other issue with the machine is that you can't use the 3D glasses with it, which is a shame because there are quite a few cool titles for it. There may only be a handful of them, but some of them are really quite good. And it's quite an innovative piece of hardware, quite a nice little peripheral that you might want to add to your collection, and it can't be used with the Master System 2. To say I hate the Master System 2 would be far too strong a word. After all, it does play the vast majority of the Master System's back catalogue. However, I dislike it so much that I'm not going to use it for this review. I'm going to use this. The Mega Drive? You fool, I hear you cry. You can't play Master System games on this, it's not backwards compatible. You can't even cram the cartridges into it. Well, that's true enough, unless, of course, you've got one of these. This is the Master System converter, also known as the Power Base converter in North America. This essentially allows you to enhance your Mega Drive, allowing it to play all of the Master System games. Yes, it has the card slot on the front, so you can play those card-based games and you can use the 3D glasses. On the top, it's got the cartridge slot, where the majority of the games will go. This is a really great add-on for your Mega Drive. In fact, I'd say it's one of my favourite add-ons for any machine. Not only does it expand the already vast back catalogue of games available for the Mega Drive, it looks good too. I really like the way it sits so sweetly on top of this machine. I also love the fact that they've cast the bottom of it in crimson plastic, and it gives it this lovely red line around the bottom of it, separating the two systems and separating these two eras of video gaming. It's such a shame that Sega couldn't have replicated this style or something like it when they brought out the 32X. I mean, you sit a machine with the Master System converter on it next to one with a 32X. It's like sitting a Renaissance architectural masterpiece next to a postmodern monstrosity. If you've never seen Sega's 32X, or you'd really like to see it lambasted in a hilarious way, then I suggest you head on over to James the Angry Video Game Nerd's channel and check out his review of it. It really is pretty sweet. But don't do that just yet, because I haven't even gotten around to showing you my favourite game for this system. Now, those of you that have paid attention to the title of this episode and are already familiar with the game will have guessed this already. And here it is. Space Harrier. Yes, like many others out there, this is my favourite game for the Master System. Now, it might not be the best game, in fact, it definitely isn't the best game for this system, but I love it because I love the arcade game. And this all takes me back to the summer of 1986. I was on holiday with my parents in a little town called Sandown on the Isle of Wight, which is an island just off the south coast of England. On my first day of the holiday, I was just walking down the street from our hotel and I saw an arcade. And as you can imagine, by that point already, I loved going into arcades. I loved the look of them. I loved the smell, the sound, everything about them. And so I had to go in. But at the front of the arcade, there was something I'd never seen before. And it was a full motion cabinet. Sure, I'd seen the little kids' toys at the fairground where you put in your coins and it moves around, but this was a video game with that element built in. The graphics of this machine absolutely floored me. The sense of speed that was created by it was like nothing I'd seen before. Then on top of that, you had the amazing sound effects, synthesized speech and all of the explosion sounds and the strange noises that the different creatures and robots and things made. I was just transported into another world, that fantasy zone that's in the tagline for the game. I really felt like I was there. And this was even before playing the game. I was just watching a guy playing the first level of it. And I was really stunned by the end of the first level, that he was assaulted by this huge flying dragon blasting fireballs at him. Now, it killed him, and that meant it was my turn to have a go. So I begged my parents, and of course, being the generous people that they are, they said, "Here you go, have some coins and play the game." And I was in a world of my own there, playing this machine, rocking from side to side, back and forth, blasting all these different things that came my way, and facing that dragon, and actually managed to defeat it on my first go, which was a real sense of achievement. Unfortunately, soon after that, getting on to the next level, I just got completely wasted by what came my way. But I was hooked. And not only was I hooked, but from that point on, I was familiar with the name Sega. And from that point, Sega for me had set the bar of excellence for video games. Now, I know this isn't arcade perfect, I've got no illusions about that, but for me, it captures the essence of Space Harrier. Sure, it doesn't have the super fast, super scaling sprites that the arcade does. The sound isn't of the same high fidelity. The speed is lacking, but for me, the essence is there. The essence in so much as the characters are faithfully recreated. It's colourful, it's bright, the sounds are effective, they're good enough, and it still makes me feel like I'm playing Space Harrier. And as a kid, I was blown away by it. I didn't ever expect to have something that was equal to the arcade machine in my home, but I was very happy to have something that, in my eyes, came really close. So we're going to take a look at it now, and I thought it might be nice to compare it to the arcade version that's an extra on the Sega Mega Drive Ultimate Collection for the PlayStation 3. Just so you can see how close, or maybe how far away it is from the original version. So, let's take a look.